Good morning, warriors. Welcome to Why Shy Why. Why Shy Why is about me coming up with a couple of the themes that I've been seeing through our client community over the last week or so, and trying to distill a problem definition and maybe some recommendations in a video like this for you guys, just in case you're going through a similar challenge in your businesses. Um, Today I want to talk about a particular 5-minute chat that I was lucky enough to have with the CTO of Amazon.com last night. Um, the guy's here from the US in Brisbane with a developer conference that they're doing around the country, and I was happy enough to get 5 minutes with him last night, and he reminded me what I have been doing wrong. Okay, so let's get into it. Like every other developer out there and pretty much everyone else out there, I don't like to be told that I'm wrong. Um, Having said that, it was nice that it was more of a reminder that I was wrong, that I was wrong in a sense. Werner, the CTO of Amazon.com, reminded me that when it comes to cloud computing, if you're still using VMs and you're dialing into these things, IDP, SSH, or whatever, into them, and you're managing them, you're doing it wrong. And so some of you guys might know we're building a bit of a product called Scrum at the moment, which will be a software as a service. And what we're doing at the moment for development purposes is we have a VM that runs this thing. What we should be doing, of course, is using the concept of a microservice to run this thing. And so what I wanted to do today, guys, is just outline some of the benefits of why the cloud has become such a huge thing for us. I know a lot of us there just sort of don't really know what it is and what it does and all that sort of stuff. And look, it's one of those terms that have been used over and over again, almost to the point where it kind of means everything to everyone. Um, excuse me. But what I want to distill down is this. A cloud, guys, is basically a bunch of computers that sit somewhere in the world connected to us via an internet cable, okay? And it allows us to access those computers and use the memory and the space and use the resources that those computers or those servers provide for our own purposes, okay? That's what the cloud started as. That's very similar to another model that's sort of out there in the marketplace, which is a data center model. So you might know companies that actually build buildings that are very highly scalable and redundant. Bunch of servers. All they are is just buildings with servers in them, and they hire out a server or a stack of servers to a particular company so they can keep their stuff on those servers. And usually a corporate or an organization will hire that out in, well, two ways. One, if they don't want to have servers in their own company, which is, more and more that's sort of starting to happen because these facilities will, pay for electricity and pay for all the other stuff, the networking and the internet connection and all that sort of stuff, and it's very nicely packaged. Secondarily, some companies will use that site as a backup. So if their server room in their company in their offices fails, they can fail over to that. Now, what Werner, the CTO, was trying to say was that the cloud these days, and especially AWS, but I also know this of Azure, that if you're spinning up a VM, a whole server, just to run your app, you're doing it wrong. And the reason for that is this. What these guys have done, the really smart people that have these things at Amazon Web Services and at Azure and at Google and everywhere else who has a cloud, is they've basically gotten rid of the concept of a server, and they've said, listen, if you want to run your mobile app or you want to run your web app or you want to run your whatever, but you don't want to pay for the hardware and all the maintenance costs and all the patching costs and everything else that goes with it, that's cool. We'll do that for you, and you just pay us a monthly subscription. All you've got to do is take that application that you have and ship it to us somehow, usually over the internet, through some sort of portal that you've logged into, and we'll just run it, okay? And that's as easy as it is. So if you come back to the example we've got at scrummunicate.com, it's an application. It runs out in the cloud, or runs in any computer basically, but we've chosen to put it out in the cloud because then we can scale it and we know that it's reliable because, It it runs on machines that are well kept and maintained and have two sources of power going into it. So if one power drops out, they've still got the second. Same for internet, same for everything else, right? So it's really nice and secure and relatively cheap. And it allows us to experiment, which is really key to development these days, right? So what I'm trying to say to you guys is this. If you guys are on legacy systems at the moment that run out of either your own servers on premise in your own office, or you're using a data center somewhere else and you've got 3 or 4 servers that are running your apps, it's time to change, guys. You will save a lot of money if you just do a few code changes, get someone in to architect a bit of a solution for you in the cloud, Azure, AWS, wherever, it doesn't matter, and push your product back into that cloud and use the facilities provided by that cloud. I guarantee your costs will go down significantly by a factor, really. And also, you'll now have possibilities that you never had before. If, for example, you're in retail and you need to be able to scale 5 by for Christmas, you can do that now without having to keep servers churning around all year long just for that peak demand, right? Alternatively, if you're building a brand new product or a brand new feature that plugs into an existing product, you can ship that now within 15 minutes and the world can now see it, and you don't have to worry about replication across different servers and all sorts of weird stuff. To make it even easier, what you can do now is, because you're not owning a particular server or a computer, you don't have to patch it, you don't have to maintain it, you don't have to have a system administrator always looking at logs and that sort of stuff. They've got better things to do with their lives than look at logs, right? So if you have that sort of scenario, you've got a system that runs on a few servers or a computer or something, and you want to take that out to the cloud and really save a whole bunch of money and still get a lot more benefit than what you're paying out, it is the way to go. As Werner, the CTO of Amazon.com, said, if you are still in this day and age logging into a VM that sits in the DC or a cloud somewhere, you're doing it wrong. Alright guys, that's it for me for today. If you have any questions, please call through. I know the cloud thing can be a little bit intriguing. Happy to answer any questions, but believe me when I say yes, there's a bit of a hype around cloud, but it's worth it.